Do you ever wonder why some people reach their 90s with sharp minds, steady hands, and genuine smiles while others seem old at 70? The answer isn't hidden in expensive supplements or complicated medical treatments. It's written in the quiet choices they make each morning before the rest of the world wakes up. I'm 92 years old, and I want to share 5 simple morning habits that have carried me through decades with vitality, clarity, and peace that money simply cannot buy. The first habit transformed my life when I finally understood it in my 70s, which proves it's never too late to change. I start every single morning in silence. Not meditation necessarily, though silence can become a form of prayer if you let it. I simply sit at the edge of my bed or in my chair by the window and do absolutely nothing for 5 to 15 minutes. No television news blaring. Disasters from around the world. No phone checking messages or scrolling through upsetting headlines. No radio filling my head with other people's voices and agendas. Just silence and the sound of my own breathing. When I first tried this, my mind rebelled. It wanted to jump immediately into the day's worries and plans. It wanted to know what had happened overnight in the world. It wanted stimulation and distraction. But I persisted, and gradually something remarkable happened. Those few minutes of silence began to change the entire quality of my day. My blood pressure, which had been creeping upward for years, started to stabilize. My thoughts became clearer and less frantic. I felt more present in my own life rather than constantly reacting to external demands. Research supports what I discovered through experience. Scientists have found that starting your day without the big assault of screens and news significantly reduces stress hormones in your body. Your brain gets a chance to wake up gradually rather than being shocked into alertness by disturbing information or overstimulation. This matters enormously as we age, because our nervous systems become more sensitive and chronic stress accelerates cognitive decline and physical deterioration. During those quiet minutes, I often find myself noticing small blessings I would have rushed past in my younger years. The way morning light falls across the floor, the sound of birds beginning their day, the simple fact that I woke up at all, which is never guaranteed at any age, but especially not at 92. This isn't forced gratitude or positive thinking. It's just what naturally arises when you give yourself space to notice life instead of immediately filling every moment with noise and activity. Some mornings the silence feels peaceful. Other mornings my mind churns with worries or sadness. That's perfectly fine. The point isn't to achieve some perfect meditative state. The point is to give yourself a gentle beginning, to claim those first minutes for yourself rather than immediately handing your attention over to the world's demands. You're teaching your nervous system that you're safe, that there's no emergency requiring instant reaction, that you have some measure of control over how you enter each day. The second habit sounds almost too simple to matter, but I promise you it makes an enormous difference. Before I drink my morning coffee, which I still enjoy and have no intention of giving up, I drink a full glass of water, not a few sips. A full 8 ounces of plain water, sometimes with a slice of lemon if I'm feeling fancy. Here's why this matters more than you might think. While you sleep, your body loses water through breathing and through the work your kidneys do to filter and detoxify. You wake up mildly dehydrated every single morning, though you may not feel particularly thirsty. Your blood has thickened slightly overnight. Your cells are crying out for hydration. Your digestive system is sluggish and needs moisture to function well. If the first thing you do is drink coffee, which is a diuretic that makes you urinate more, you're actually worsening that dehydration rather than correcting it. Many of the symptoms older adults attribute to aging, the morning dizziness, the mental fog, the stiff joints, the fatigue, are actually partly caused or worsened by chronic mild dehydration. When I started drinking water first thing, before anything else, I noticed changes within just a few days. The morning mental cloudiness lifted faster. My joints felt less stiff. My mood improved. My digestion worked better. I had more energy throughout the day. These aren't imaginary benefits. Studies show that even mild dehydration increases anxiety and irritability, impairs memory and attention, and reduces physical performance, especially in older adults whose thirst signals are often diminished. This simple glass of water is also an act of kindness toward yourself, a way of saying that your body matters and deserves care. It sets a tone of nourishment rather than deprivation. You're not denying yourself coffee, you're just giving in your body what it desperately needs first. This small act of self-care creates momentum for other healthy choices throughout the day. The third habit protected me from injuries that have sidelined many of my friends. Before I stand up each morning, I stretch. Not vigorous exercise, not a full yoga routine. Just 5 minutes of gentle movement while I'm still in bed, preparing my body for the transition from lying down to standing and walking. In my younger years, I would throw off the covers and jump out of bed, eager to start the day. But as I aged, I noticed that sudden movements sometimes led to pulled muscles, dizzy spells, or near falls. Our muscles stiffen overnight. Our joints need time to lubricate. Our blood pressure needs to adjust gradually when we move from horizontal to vertical. Rushing this transition is asking for trouble. My stretching routine is simple and feels wonderful. I start by wiggling my toes and rotating my ankles in circles, both directions. I open and close my hands several times, making fists and then spreading my fingers wide. I reach my arms overhead and stretch my whole body long, pointing my toes and lengthening my spine. I do gentle neck rotations, slowly turning my head side to side. I bring my knees toward my chest one at a time, holding for a few breaths. I rotate my wrists and shoulders. The entire sequence takes maybe 5 minutes and requires no special equipment or knowledge. What this gentle stretching does is remarkable. It increases blood flow throughout your body, carrying oxygen and nutrients to tissues that have been still all night. It lubricates your joints with synovial fluid, making movement easier and less painful. It signals to your nervous system that you're waking up gradually and safely. It gives you a chance to notice how your body feels today, whether anything hurts or feels particularly stiff, so you can move through the day with awareness rather than pushing through pain. I have a neighbor who started this habit after a fall that broke her wrist. She was 78 at the time and had always prided herself on being spry and quick. But she jumped out of bed one morning, felt dizzy, lost her balance and fell. After her wrist healed, she began stretching in bed each morning. She told me recently that this simple change has made her feel more confident in her movements. She's more aware of her body, more connected to it, and that awareness has improved her balance and coordination throughout the day. Physical therapists and geriatric specialists consistently recommend gentle morning stretching for older adults. It's one of the best ways to maintain flexibility, reduce injury risk, and preserve independence. Yet most people skip it because they're in too much of a hurry or they don't think it matters. I'm here to tell you it matters enormously, and the few minutes it takes pays dividends in mobility and safety. The fourth habit relates to one of life's most basic activities, eating breakfast. I eat breakfast every single morning, and I eat it slowly and mindfully. No television on in the background, no newspaper spread across the table, no phone in my hand scrolling through messages. Just me, my food, and complete attention to the experience of eating. My breakfast is usually simple: oatmeal with fruit and nuts, sometimes eggs, a piece of whole grain toast, warm tea. Nothing fancy or expensive, but the way I eat matters as much as what I eat. I sit down properly at the table. I look at my food and appreciate its colors and textures. I take a bite and actually chew it thoroughly, noticing the flavors and the sensation of eating. I put my fork down between bites. I breathe. I notice the sounds around me, the morning birds, the quiet house. I might think about the hands that grew this food and the journey it took to reach my plate. I offer silent gratitude for having enough to eat when so many don't. This might sound unnecessarily elaborate for something as ordinary as breakfast, but mindful eating has profound effects on both physical and emotional health. When you eat slowly and pay attention, your digestion works better. Because your body has time to produce the enzymes and acids needed to break down food properly, you absorb more nutrients. You notice when you're actually full, which prevents overeating. You enjoy your food more, which increases satisfaction even with simple meals. But beyond the physical benefits, mindful eating does something important for your state of mind. It grounds you in the present moment. It connects you with your body's needs and signals. It creates a brief sanctuary of peace before the day's activities begin. It reminds you that you're worthy of taking time for basic self-care. that you don't have to rush through life's fundamental activities as if they're obstacles to overcome rather than experiences to be lived. I have a friend who was always grabbing breakfast on the go, eating in the car or while doing other tasks. She complained constantly about indigestion and low energy. When she finally started sitting down and eating mindfully, her whole demeanor changed. Her digestion improved, her mood stabilized. She found she actually needed less food because she was getting more satisfaction from what she ate. Studies back this up, showing that mindful eating reduces stress, improves blood pressure, and enhances gut health, especially in older adults. Food isn't just fuel, though our culture often treats it that way. It's also connection, ritual, and a daily opportunity to care for yourself. Those 10 or 15 minutes of mindful breakfast set a tone of presence and self-respect that influences how you move through the rest of your day. The fifth habit is the one I was most skeptical about when I first heard of it, yet it's become one of the most powerful. Every morning, before I leave my bedroom, I speak something kind, out loud. Sometimes it's directed at myself. Sometimes it's a general statement of hope or gratitude. But I actually vocalize it with my own voice. This might sound silly or embarrassing at first. It certainly felt that way to me. But I learned this from an 88-year-old man I met years ago who had the most remarkable spirit of joy and peace I'd ever encountered. When I asked him his secret, he told me he started every day by looking in the mirror and saying out loud, "Today is going to be a good day, and I'm grateful to still be here." He said it even on days when he didn't feel it, even when he was in pain or worried about something. He said the simple act of speaking kindness aloud shifted something in his heart and mind. I tried it, feeling foolish at first, but gradually I noticed that the words I spoke in the morning did seem to influence my emotional state throughout the day. On mornings when I said something hopeful and kind, I was more patient with difficulties, more open to joy, more resilient in the face of challenges. On mornings when I forgot or skipped this practice, I was more likely to spiral into negative thinking and feel overwhelmed by small problems. Science supports this experience. Research on self-affirmations shows that positive self-talk reduces stress hormones, improves problem-solving abilities under pressure, and enhances emotional stability. The key is that you have to actually say the words, not just think them. Speaking engages different neural pathways than thinking. It makes the statement more concrete and powerful. Your words don't have to be elaborate or profound. You might say, "I'm going to do my best today," or "I have enough for today," or "I'm grateful for another morning," or simply, "May I be kind to myself and others today." The specific words matter less than the act of beginning your day with intentional kindness, rather than criticism, worry, or complaint. This practice is especially important as we age, because our culture sends constant messages that aging is decline, loss, and irrelevance. Those messages seep into our self-talk without us noticing, creating an internal voice that's harsh and discouraging. Deliberately speaking kind words counteracts that negativity. It reminds you that you still have value, that each day still holds possibility, that you're worthy of compassion from yourself. I know people who extend this practice by saying something kind to their spouse or calling a friend to offer an encouraging word. This creates ripples of positivity that extend beyond yourself. But even if you live alone and speak kind words only to yourself, you're doing something profoundly important for your mental and emotional health. These 5 habits, silence instead of screens, water before coffee, stretching before standing, mindful eating, and kind words, take less than 30 minutes combined. They require no money, no special equipment, no particular physical ability. Yet they've sustained me through 9 decades with a quality of life that I'm deeply grateful for. I'm not claiming these habits will guarantee you'll reach 92 or that you'll never face health challenges. Life brings what it brings, and none of us have complete control over our longevity or our circumstances. But I am saying with absolute certainty that how you begin each day shapes the life you experience, regardless of how many years you're given. The person who starts each morning in chaos, grabbing coffee while checking disturbing news, rushing through a meal without tasting it, jerking their aging body into movement without preparation, and speaking harshly to themselves will experience life very differently from the person who begins with silence, hydration, gentle movement, mindful nourishment, and kind words. Both might face the same external circumstances, but their internal experience will be worlds apart. At 92, I've learned that aging isn't primarily about decline. It's about deepening. The mornings have become more precious, not less. The simple rituals I've described have become touchstones that anchor me, reminders that I'm still here, still capable of care, still able to greet each day with intention rather than resignation. If you're watching this and thinking you're too old to change your habits or that these practices seem too simple to matter, I encourage you to try just one of them for a week and notice what happens. Start with silence, or water, or stretching, whichever resonates most. Give it 7 mornings and pay attention to any shifts in how you feel physically, mentally, or emotionally. Your morning routine is one of the few things in life you have genuine control over. You can't control the news or other people's behavior or many of the challenges aging brings, but you can control how you begin each day, and that beginning ripples through every hour that follows. If you found value in these habits, I'd be grateful if you'd share this video with someone who might benefit from it. Subscribe to this channel for more practical wisdom on living well at any age. Leave a comment telling me which of these 5 habits speaks most strongly to you, or share a morning habit that's made a difference in your own life. Remember, longevity isn't just about adding years to your life, but about adding life to your years. And that work begins each morning with the choices you make before the rest of the world demands your attention.